Hello everyone, welcome to the Fun Max Practice Day 1. I know you guys are exciting for this event, right? And today's questions will be a bit challenging, but no worries, you can learn this together. So now, let's start with my self-introductions. You see, this is me, right? Am I look younger or similar to this? Okay. So can you guys guess how many years of teaching experience I have? 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years? Actually, I have only 1 year of teaching experience here, but I actually very passionate for teaching. So I hope that you can enjoy my lesson today. So let's start with our questions. So now, if Kaiwing has some coins here, and I want to distribute 12 coins equally among 3 of you, how many coins can each of you get? You can see the importance keywords here, right? 12 coins, and we need to divide them equally among 3 of you. And here, imagine we have 12 coins here, right? And each of you can get 1 coin at first, right? Can we continue? Yes, we can continue to divide them by 1 more coins and again again to divide them. And here you can figure out that each of you can get 4 coins, right? So now let's do a recap. In the same similar questions, if I want to transform this into a sentence, how do we transform this into a mathematical sentence? We use what? Division, right? Good job. So we just know that each of you can get 4 coins, so we circle this as a group. So this one group and one group. Also, we know there are totals of 12 coins here, right? And there is 3 of you. And we can know that just now we did the division, right? We could divide them equally amount of 3 of you. And if each of you get 4 coins. So what do we use here? Multiply or division? Yes, division. So we can just simply use 12 divided by 3 and we get 4 coins for each student here. So here, 12 divide, you can know that this is the total number of the coins which we call dividend. And this is what we call the divisor, which means the equal groups here. And also the quotients, which means how many numbers of coins here in a group. So now, in other scenario, if I have 13 coins here and I want to divide 3 of you again, each student can get how many coins at most? And how many coins are left? So now, again, we have 13 coins here, right? So each of you can get 1, right? And continue, we can get 2 and 3. How about now? We have 4 coins here. Can we continue to divide them? Yes, we can divide them one more time, right? 1, 2, and 3. How about now? Can we continue? No, right? Because that is not fair if we continue to divide them for you guys. So there will be 1 left coins here. Again, if I want to transform these coins into a sentence, how do we do it? At first, right, we'll use 13 coins, and then let me circle the group for you here. You can see that's 4, right? And then we can divide them again equally to 3 students, right? So we can use divide by 3. And we know that each of you can get 4, right? With what's this? This one's the leftover, right? But how do we write it? Actually, here is very simple. We will just write a remainder of 1. And again, this is what we call dividend, divisor, and quotients. What about this one? This one is the remainder. So what's the remainder means? Actually, it means the amounts left after we divide them equally. Now, let's move on to question 1. So here, you can see there's 38 kids from a school are going to fruit garden and only 2 vehicles can be used, which is the one small car here can only hold 5 kids and the big buses can only hold 9 kids here. So 38 here is a big number, right? So imagine we have only 6 kids now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And here, the total number is 6, right? And in a one car, there only can fit 5 kids. So we need to divide how many? 5, right? Because there's 5 kids in a group. And we'll get this one group here. So we can write one group here with a remainder of 1 kids. Yes, good job. So now, how about this question now? If all the kids want to ride in the small car, how many cars will be fully used and how many kids have to wait for another ride? So, with the total number here again, 38 divided by how many kids? 5. So we divided by 5 here. And what's the answer here? For this one, you need to think backwards, which means you need to multiply by what number to 5 and we'll get to closest to 38. Can anyone tell me the answer? Yes, we can use 5 multiplied by 7 and we'll get 35, right? So there will be 7 cars will be used here. 7 cars with a remainder of how many? Yes, 3. Because we can use 38 minus 35 and we get the remainder here, 33. Also, remember to write down the answer because I see most of you didn't write down the answer here. Okay, I will just write it in the short. So there will be 7 cars will be used. And 3 kids, we have to wait for another ride. 3 kids here. Okay, how about the second question here? It's almost the same, right? So again, we can use 38. Oops. We can use 38 and divide by 9, right? And can we know what's the answer here? Again, we need to think backwards. We need to find out what's the closest number to 38 when 9 multiplied by what number? 4, good job. So we need to multiply 9 minus 4, which is 36. And here, we only need to use 4 big buses, right? And with a remainder of how many kids? 2, good job. So if you guys are not familiar with the multiplication table, you need to work hard on it. Okay? So it'll be more easy for you to do these kind of questions. And again, we need to write down the answer. So the answer here, and write down. There are four buses, right? We only can use 4 buses. And with a remainder of 2 kids. So these 2 kids have to wait for another ride. Okay. So now, we have reached the fruit garden here. Is there any favorite fruits for you guys here? Maybe some of you say yes, right? So can you guys guess what's my favorite fruit here? Is it orange? Is it mangosteen? Banana? Actually, some of you get it right? It's actually an apple. Okay, so now we have reached the fruit garden, right? We have finished our fruits. What about now? We need to have some dessert, right? So now we have muffins here and cookies. So now, Mr. Johnson has baked some cookies and muffin, right? He prepared a total of 10 treats, and he noticed that the number of cookies and muffin is the same. So, can we help to calculate how many cookies Mr. Johnson baked? So now, here we represent the number of cookies and number of muffins here in the straight line. Can we do that? Yes. And also to remember to label them. So, for example, this one I label as the cookies here, and this one is the muffin. After that, we need to label one more thing here. It's very important, okay? The total number, which is this one. The total number, which is 10. So for this question, how do we do it? We know that this one is the same, this one also the same, right? And we can just use 10 divided by how many groups here? We know it's 2 groups, right? So we can just use 10. They're straightforward. It's very straightforward questions. We can use 10 divided by 2 and we will get 5 each here, right? So Mr. Johnson has baked 5 cookies and 5 muffins here. So how about now? I know that most of you it's very confusing for this question, but no worries, let's see this question together. So now, again, we need to see the important notes here. you can see Mr. Johnson's, he prepared a total of 43 treats, right? Treats. And then he noticed that he baked 13 more cookies than the muffin. So if you want to represent them in a straight line, how do we do it? It's very important here. As we say that he baked 13 more cookies than the muffin. So which one is the last one? The muffin, right? Yes. So we can label here, this one is muffin. And then this one definitely will be the cookies, right? And again, one more important thing. We also label the total number, right? So we need to label down the total number here, which is 43. And what can we do here? Because just now we can use division directly, right? We just divide them equally because there's only two groups. But how about now? It's different number, right? We cannot just simply divide them. So we need to think of something else. What can we do? We actually can remove this part, right? So that these two will be equal already. So now, if we draw with dotted line here, so we can see these two will be the same. But what's the number here? Do you know this number? Yes, 13. So what's 13 means actually here? It actually means the difference, right? This one is the sum and this one is difference. The difference means that the cookies here has 13 more cookies than the muffins. Okay, so now how do we do it? To find here, number here. We can use 43 minus 13, right? And then we'll get 30. What's the 30 means here? Is it the cookies number of cookies? No, it actually the total number of both muffins and cookies here, which means these two triangle here will be 30. And what can we do now to find out the muffin here? We can use 13 divided by 2, right? So we can just use 30 divided by 2 and we'll get 15. So there's actually 15 muffins here. And how about cookies? Because we want to calculate how many cookies, right? And for the cookies, we know that this one is already 15 and this is already 15. How about this whole line here? We can just simply add them together, right? Which is 15 plus 13. And we'll get the total number of cookies here, which is 28 cookies. Yes. And also remember to write down the answer because these application questions. So the answer here, 28 cookies. Yes. Okay, let's recap what we have learned today. The first one will be the division with remainder, right? And what's dividend? It's a total number of the item. And what about the divisor? Which means equal groups, right? And the fourth here, the quotients, is how many items in a group. And the left over here will be the remainder. And the next thing we have learned is the sum and difference problem. So what's that? What do we need to do when we face these kind of questions? We can use the lines to represent, right? So we can see here, this is the sum, right? And this is the difference. So what difference normally means? Like for example, like just now, the cookies have 13 more cookies than the muffins, or maybe the cookies have lesser. But the most important one, you need to figure out you need to figure out what's the last one. For example, the muffin is lesser, right? So you need to know this one is the muffin and this one is the cookie. So you need to label it correctly so that you can find out easily. Okay? Thank you for coming. Remember to enjoy learning and keep making progress. See you guys next time.